Hello there. Alright, I know what you're probably thinking. Man, this is early for your usual streams. And, yeah, it really is. I'm, trying something different. So, I've been pretty consistently streaming on Sundays. It's been 3 Sundays in a row, so I figured I would try to keep that streak going. But at the same time, I'm working on something right now that usually I would just keep to myself, because, I don't know, that's just kind of the habit that I have. But it occurred to me, you know what? There's no reason for me to keep this secret. In fact, it might actually be more fun for people to be able to participate. So I'm doing this live. Now, generally, it's not a good time for me to stream at an hour like this, but as it so happens, I can't stream later, and I'm working on this right now, so we are going to be attempting to do this for European audiences. How about that? Anywho, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to go through this entire explanation like 5 times throughout this stream, because, well, you'll see in a minute. So I'm just gonna start here, and then I'll explain it the one time, and then we'll do it again after that. I also just realized that the stream tag for this broadcast is probably wrong. So before I jump over to the other screen, let me just fix that real fast, just so we don't jump over to the other window and it just looks weird. I do pre-plan all of this stuff before I start streaming, and somehow I always forget something. So let me just fix that real quick. There. That should fix the tag for the rest of the stream. Okay. So, jumping over to what it is that I'm going to be working on today. Blank canvas. Ominous. Okay, so the thing is, I am currently working on some very random Owlboy art. Which is weird because it's been almost... Well, it's been 9 years in about a month since the game came out. But for reasons that will become obvious much later, some new art felt like it was needed. And it was just some small doodle things. But I started with one, and we got this little guy. So, for the first time in forever, I've drawn brand new art of Otis, main character of Owlboy. Now, it's not enough to just have one. I need quite a few. So, I got this guy, and then we had this little man, and after a little bit, we got a whole pile of them. So part of what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be sketching a bunch of both Owlboy but also D-pad characters today, and then doing the full cleanup, and then like getting them ready for their well, whatever I'm going to be using them for. So these ones are kind of ready to go for cleanup, but I just started sketching some new ones that will probably need a little bit more tinkering before I can be sure that they're ready for cleanup. So kind of what I want to do is that I want to sketch as much of this as possible, and then go over to clean up because that's going to be the more meticulous process. And also because of that whole thing, this is sort of the more labor-intensive part for me, because getting all of the art out early means that I know what I'm going to be doing next. So that's Otis. And next we have probably the first new official art of Buccanary in, well, ever, honestly. I think there's only like one illustration. But of course, I have more that I need to do. This one's pretty much ready for cleanup. But we also have this one, which is a little bit more rough. And we have some bogs and some more bogwins. And these ones need a little bit more help. Not like the bogwins don't need all the help they can get, but you get the idea. And then after we've done all of these and we got them cleaned up, we're going to be adding some of the Vikings from our upcoming game, Vikings on Trampolines. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to put on some music now. And I'm sure that by the time the next 50 or so people show up, I'm going to be explaining all of this again. So, now you know, and you can play it forward. Alright, let me just get ready for everything here. And because I couldn't think of anything better, I was thinking the soundtrack to Plock on the SNES would do nicely for this. Again, if the volume is wrong, or you just can't hear anything, just let me know, and I'll take care of that. Alright, first off, let's fix Buccanary's face a little bit. And you kind of have to remember, I've never really worked that in detail on Buccanary's design, because on one hand, it was kind of surprising she became as big of a character as she did. But at the same time, she was also never intended to be seen much up close. So now I have to kind of like figure out how that's going to work on the fly, so that's kind of fun. Good morning, how's it going? Oh, it's going pretty alright. It's a pretty lazy Sunday, even though I am technically working right now. I don't tend to do D-pad work on in public all that often, so this is a different one for me, I'll be honest. But yeah, no, it's been pretty good. Of all things, it's been warm outside, which makes absolutely no sense. I could make an educated guess that it's been around, what would I say? Maybe 17, 18 Celsius outside for a short bit, which, for Norway, that is insane. In October? Just absolutely unheard of. This is sort of endless rain season for us. Like, the second October comes around, it's just wet here and nothing else. So I guess we'll just have to roll with it. I'm glad this one ended up being pretty alright right out the box. Oh shit, I forget. If you're doing rotation in Photoshop, it does not like you very much. endless rain sounds kind of nice. It's not bad until you have to step outside. Like the I grew up above the Arctic Circle, which means I was used to there either being constant sunlight or no sun whatsoever. And I think both of them have their advantages. Like there's something really serene and nice about being out in pitch darkness. But it does affect you a little bit psychologically. So, for example, when it's dark here, and I mean, even where I live now, at its darkest, I think you get like 4 hours of sunlight, maybe, a day. But there's something about the psychological pressure where it feels like when the sun goes down, you're kind of like, oh shit, the day's over. I can't do anything else now. It's not real. You still have to do your job, you know. But there's that mental state, and it's the opposite when there's a ton of sunlight. Now you're like, ah, yes. There's so much time in the day. I can just do all of these things, and then I'm not sure if it actually ends up with people being more productive, but I at least feel a little less awful about it. That kind of thing. I need a lot of sun. I think most people need at least a certain amount of vitamin D to both be healthy and not to go insane. Let's see. These little tufts here were not really in the original sketch. Let's see, where did I put... Yeah, there it is. Let me just grab that. Oops. There, and then close that down. As you can kind of see... Wait, wasn't this? Yeah. This is the only, like, official art that I had sketched of Buccanary, and it was... Holy crap, how long ago was it? This was one of the first things I ever drew for Owlboy. So, it was a very different time, and of course, it was just like a basic idea. I just wanted a character that had, like, the head of a pear, because, at the very least, it would differentiate. Like, I wanted some more interesting body language, but when you're drawing someone up close, unless your style is extremely designed for it, it doesn't always look too good, so I have to give her a little bit more human features in order for this to work. Oh my god, Buccanary art. Oh yeah, no, not just Buccanary art, but for those that joined a little late, we'll get back to that. Don't you worry, there's plenty of other favorites that are going to be showing up on this stream. Let's see. Okay. So she has those massive gloves. I'm trying to think here. You know what? That should actually be sticking in a little further. So probably like... I'm trying to keep it pretty fast and loose here, because there's a lot that we have to do. I have maybe 3 hours today. so I'm trying to make it count. So everything is going to look pretty rough. It just needs to be finished enough that I can clean it up later. Hopefully during the stream, but, you know, I can't guarantee anything. See, there's a few new faces here today as well. Welcome. I'm expecting that to happen quite a bit today, simply because I'm streaming at somewhat unusual hours for me. Just got my first screen tablet, so I should draw some Owlboy fan art in celebration. I mean, if you feel up to drawing Owlboy fan art, I would love to see it. I don't know. I like my little guy. Let's see. So we got this. It sort of ties together here. There we are. I might do a little cheat and just copy up the arms and the sides so that they're symmetrical, because I think, in all honesty, it's probably fine for what I'm doing right here. So I am going to... Well, before I do that, I need to get the arms in the correct position, I think. Oh yes, clown music. Perfect. I usually draw on an Android tablet, but mine's a bit old and I ordered a new one. Probably a good call. I have noticed, somehow, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but there's now a gash all the way through my my tablet, almost as if someone put a knife on it. So maybe there was an accident somewhere and I didn't notice. I'm not sure, but it does mean eventually it'll cut through it, which isn't great, but at the same time, I think it'll take a while, so I think I'm safe for now. Is that the Plock OST I hear in the background? Yes, it is. I played it quite a few times on stream. I frankly couldn't think of anything right now, so we're sticking with Plock until something else comes to mind. There we go. Gotta get that strap in there. I think the weird thing about the Plock soundtrack, and by extension, people finally giving the Fallen Brothers some credit for the work that they did, is that it required just like people with clout to come out and go like, hey, it's okay to like this. It's very strange. But I feel like it's like that with practically everything these days. Like, not in any like dystopian way or anything, but it feels like people have a tendency to sort of wait for approval from some authority figure before they allow themselves to like something. And sometimes it comes in kind of strange ways too. There's a lot of video games that I've had my eye on for quite some time, and then some big name makes a video about it. Of course, severely overhypes it, being like, this is the greatest thing to ever exist, and all of a sudden it's like a million seller. It's strange how that works. Hold on, we gotta do a thing. Let's see. So, I was intending for this to have a circle. So let's just do that vectorized. Oh, that doesn't actually fit. Maybe I need to make it a little bigger. Maybe about there. Let's try that for now. You can always move it. Let's see. So let's take that arm and copy it up. Block OST was great. The game itself was one of those 10,000 mascot platformers from the 16-bit era. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really want to speak ill of other developers because making a game is really hard. But it certainly had some areas that could be improved. I think that's also one of the difficult things about working in video games and then trying to analyze the quality of something, because oftentimes there are a lot to enjoy about games that might not be considered perfect. You kind of have to enjoy things for what they are rather than what they aren't. I can't say when I tried Plock, it was not my type of game. And again, my preferences do not dictate everyone else's. Let's see, get that arm in there. And flip you around. Let's get rid of that side. There we go. And then, oops, what did I do? Okay, no, I just defaulted it. Never mind. There we go. And then, where do you fit? About there, I think? Yeah, that looks about right. Blade block could only clear one island. That was kind of my experience as well. I think the important distinction is just to make sure not to make a giant video claiming that it's the worst thing to ever happen. I think other than that, I'm generally fine with that kind of criticism. I think it's just kind of the information fatigue for me. I think I'm kind of tired of hyperbolic statements at this point. Like I don't need more negativity. I'm good. Right, how did I do your hair? You did okay. Some more like that. There we go. Hey, Guardian, what's up? Let's see. Getting that in here. And then another one. Okay, we're soon done with like the basic fix-up of Buccaneering, and then I can maybe talk a little bit more about what it is that I'm actually doing today. There. You know what? Screw it. Let's just put that on the other side as well. Where, I'm allowed to do it as my own art. Let's see. Whoop. And then we just gotta match it up to the fingers. Alright, because that doesn't stick there. Oh, we gotta fix that. Okay. We merge that down. There, and that has to not pop out because that isn't on that side. There, and then another one goes up here. And that should do it. And then let's just crudely fix those little stars. Just for later. I think I can delete that one. So we don't need it. And then I'll probably copy this down later, but let's keep it for now. I need roughly its position for when we fix the rotation. Art at this time of day located entirely in this Twitch stream. Hey Adrian, what's up? Alright, so there, and then we take that ellipse. And then we merge it down, and we remove everything that we don't need. There, and down here, and up here. Single out that star and the hat, and there we are. Okay, we got a rough preliminary Buccaneering, along with her beautiful self up here, presenting some sort of thing. Probably something awful. Or what could you be presenting? Like just there. Ham. Anyway, all right. So we got Buccaneering here. I'm going to be adding a Bogwin and another Bogwin. They're both doing important work. But I probably want to put them in a spot where they can be seen properly. So let me just quickly grab all of these layers for her. There, and then we put that over there. Okay, now we have enough space. Okay, so for the people that have just joined, I'll very quickly run through what it is that I'm doing. I am going to be sketching up a bunch of D-pad characters. Right now I'm doing characters from Owlboy for reasons that will become apparent later. Currently I'm doing Buccanary, because these need to be fixed up a little bit before I can do cleanup on them. But you probably haven't seen this before. So there we go. Brand new Otis in the year 2025. Who knew this would happen? So these are going to be put to use a little later. And I'll also be uploading them individually as I finish them. Now, you can see that they're a little rough still. There's a good bit of work that needs to be put into them. They need color, they need better outlines, all of that. But we're off to a good start. So, before I get to Otis, I'm going to fix up these Buccanary ones. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to be sketching some Vikings on Trampoline stuff. Brand new Vikings on Trampoline stuff. So we'll get to that in just a little while. So depends on how many sketches I get out before I can look at doing cleanup. Alright, let's hit save before things go to hell. And let's get our bogs back in action. I'm just gonna bring this little guy down here because it's just nice to remind myself what they're supposed to look like as I abstract them. I think for the most part, this Bogwin is pretty right on the money. I just need to define it a little bit more so that when I do the cleanup process, nothing goes awry. And also, if we get far enough today, now I only have about 3 hours, but if we get far enough today, I might actually have some of you suggest some poses for the characters. Just depends on how far we get, but potentially I could start taking some chat requests for that. Alright, let's see. So we gotta fix their blobby heads. I'm sure Buccanary tells them that all the time. There we go. I think that will work. I'm a little unsure because it really comes down to how it looks with color, but we'll try this for now. Maybe I'll put it all the way down here. Maybe that'll work better. Because the mouth is probably going to be more like that. Yeah, that's probably good. There we go. Getting their little horns in. An important feature of the Bogwin. Gotta properly represent your bovine penguins. And I do want them to, like, be looking at the viewer. So something like that. The tail will be a little hidden, but that's just something I'll have to live with. And there. Okay, we got his leg. And I need to consider a little bit how his arm is going to connect. Maybe... oh, maybe that's enough. Should look fine. I also like, I didn't really want to think about how they were going to awkwardly be holding the little Buccanary flags. So I just taped them on there. Because of course they do that. Like, it seemed so much in character that, you know what, sometimes you just gotta roll with it. They look like little cows. Yeah, they're bovine penguins, so essentially cow penguins. Initially, they started out as some sort of weird little mutant velociraptor thing, but that part of the game got cut. We were supposed to have a city of like sentient dinosaurs or something, if I remember correctly, and it just kind of didn't make sense with what we were making, and these guys were originally just like random citizens of that place. And then finally, we were introducing a shop mechanic where we had made Buccanary, but we needed some way to sort of have information that could travel from and to this place. So we tried using the Boglins, and then they sort of became her henchmen. So they sort of inadvertently ended up in the position that they're in. Like, everything was just complete coincidence. But I think they worked out. Bobby was the last to tape them, and no one had free hands, so he had to tape them to his head. I'm just drawing random stuff, and we're already making lore. This is where we're at. The Owlboy community is so starved for new lore that we're just... oh, hopefully we'll be able to facilitate that soon enough. Now there is a official Buccanary logo, but in order for me to find that, I'm going to have to go out there and dig through quite a bit of stuff. So for now, we're just sticking with like an awkward bee on these flags, and then we'll add the real one later. Let's see. And then we put these a little further down. And then maybe adjust the sizing just a tiny bit. By the way, chat, by the way, did you know that we have a newsletter now? For D-Pad Studio and all the things that we do and all our upcoming stuff? It's true, we do. It's on the top left of the screen. So, if you're having trouble keeping up with anything that we're doing and, you know, social media turning into what it is, we now have a newsletter where you can just get about 3 emails a year with all the major news in it, so that you don't have to be swamped and have to like follow absolutely every single platform in order to figure out what on earth is happening. In fact, let me get you that real fast. See? There it is. Adrian has me covered. There, and I'll pin that for about 20 minutes. Now, I'm not mentioning that just for no reason either. Because we are running a competition. So if you're interested in winning one of the special editions of Owlboy that we still have left, then is this the right one? Yay! This one! So if you don't have the special edition of the Switch or PS4 Owlboy cases, then if you sign up, you might win one of these. So, alright, that's the marketing jargon out of the way. More Bogwins. Gotta fix this little guy. Gotta be honest, this is the first time I've ever drawn a Bogwin from this angle, so it's a little unusual, but we'll make it work. Them big eyes in there. There we go. Okay, and then a little bit more of those tufts. This one doesn't look like it needs that much cleanup, surprisingly. I thought it was going to be more intense than that, but it looks like it's fine. What about as a pixel sprite? I have a feeling that I've seen them from the front on that one. I don't actually know, because I feel like they turned with a bounce. So I'm not actually sure they ever had a front-facing one. Then again, you have to excuse me, I worked on that thing for 10 years. I might have forgotten something. Good morning, hope you're doing well. Oh no, I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Hope you're doing well as well, does that work? Yeah, English. Sure. probably imagining things. I mean, it could be. It could be. It would not surprise me if I have made a sprite that I just forgot. I mentioned this a couple of times on stream, but I did make a... that animation when Otis exits and enters a building. I think I made that entire animation twice. And it was just because I forgot I'd already done it. Because it had been so long. And I guess it speaks to my consistency that they were nearly identical, but holy shit. What a waste of time that was. But it's like that sometimes. Let's see. Is that round enough? Let's do a quick flip on that guy just to see. It almost feels like his head is in a bit of a weird position. Let me see if I move the body, if that makes it feel more accurate. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some repositioning. Yeah. Okay. Let's try this. So there's one we've never seen. Maybe. I think the one that the Owlboy fandom has not seen that I ended up just not sharing is the last orb form from the Savant Descent Remix expansion, because, well, we didn't have the option to continue working on that right now, so I just never shared it. The 4 Dragon Balls were never gathered. I think it was the Geddy one? Pretty sure that was the one. Anyhow, if you're here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's just Owlboy Discord stuff. Don't worry about it. Alright, we are pretty close with this little lad. And once he's ready, then we are going to start sketching some Vikings. And if I can get pretty close to done with those, then I'll do cleanup. And we will start with Otis once that happens. Okay, does that look acceptable? What if I do this and we duplicate? What happens then? Does that still look good? Yeah, it's pretty alright. Okay. That's all the Buccaneer stuff. Okay, let me just very quickly hit save on that. And then we have the Otises. I think I have enough Otises right now. That should be enough. At least for now. Okay. Now comes the part that I usually don't do on these streams, which is to start something from complete scratch. Let me just grab this into its own layer. These need to be adjusted a little bit, because I won't need them right now, but maybe later. Okay. Alright, chat, who should we start with? Red, yellow, blue. You know what? Yellow is a pretty straightforward one. I'm gonna just copy over Otis because I need to have his approximate size. So up here, and then close that. Here we go. There's an Oats. Hi, are you the guy who made the Riz Yoshi animation? Riz? I've never heard it described that before, but, no, you're thinking a completely different guy. Actually, no, I lied. Bring ha. Yeah, no, it's me. Anywho. Let's draw yellow. Okay, so what was I planning for her to do? I needed her to look a little bit crazed, I think. Yeah, I need to think here for a second. What could she be doing? Let me just get them all up here. Maybe Sans Balloony. Because I need to be a little bit sparing with who I choose. And what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe. Let's see. Alright, we're freeballing a little bit here. I think this can work. I haven't decided if this is going to be, like, slightly simplified or not. We will find out. See? That animation is incredible, by the way. It was, I was just bored, if I'm being honest. I made plenty beyond that one. It's, I guess the Yoshi one was just the one that breached containment. But I suppose that's just kind of how it is sometimes. I think the weird thing about the Yoshi thing was it introduced me to a whole world of people that it felt like their personality was that they thought they were funnier than the thing they were being shown. It is a very it was a very weird place to be because the video, I think it's my second most liked thing on Twitter, back when, you know, people went to Twitter. But it was all from people that didn't follow me in the first place, and the only comment was just repeating the joke back to the post. It was very weird seeing people write "bring ha" like 600 times over every day. And I mean, this was before all the, like, AI bot stuff as well, so... Very, very strange experience. Still though, it was fun to do. Let's see. We're just gonna test some stuff. It might not work out, but we will test it. See, and then maybe a little bit more here. See, gotta get those shark teeth in. This might be too detailed. We'll see, we'll see. I'm going to hide the rest of them because I don't really need them here right now. See. Yeah, it does feel like it's a little bit too much detail. I'll have to cut that down a little bit. That nose is a little bit too rendered, if I'm being honest. There. Probably needs more mouth. There we go. Might even be able to just like merge it into her chin. I think actually that might be more fun. It also occurred to me I haven't drawn any of these characters with ears up until this point, so ear reveal, I guess. Let's see. I feel like this needs to kind of wrap around a little bit. I also feel like this hat is too flat towards the head, and we need to fix that as well. I'm just removing the nose for now, because I don't feel like it adds much. Considering the size that this is going to be viewed at, I don't think that's going to be too much of a loss. At least not right now. I am trying to aim for like a little bit of a chibi-like look. Not much, because if it's too much, then it sort of gets distracting, but at least partially that kind of idea. I didn't know they had ears. Are the characters anthro or humanoid? I'm not entirely sure how to answer that question, because like there's a lot that can be extrapolated from that, and there's some ideas that might conflict with it depending on how I answer it. So, I'll leave that to your interpretation for now, and then I'll give an official statement about it later. I mean, at the very least, they are humanoid in the sense that they are human-shaped. So, that part's correct. I think I can go even wilder on these. The hat flaps. The horns will go even further out, but I need to get some other things established first. Yellow's horns are admittedly a little tough. Like, I know exactly how they operate and how they should look, but they don't particularly work well for the angles that the character is shown at. So it can often be that every time I sketch Yellow, I'm just like, now I have to do figure out how the horns operate in this particular scenario. Let's just flip it a little bit. Yeah, not too bad. Ear shouldn't be protruding that much though. I gotta run. Alright. We'll see you around. Let's see. And then her hair is supposed to, like... Maybe that won't work so well if I do it that way. Can I just kind of put that back here? And then... that allows us to do all the good things without losing all of the readability? Maybe? By far, of all the Vikings, Yellow is the most difficult to render. And primarily, like, it's not that her shapes are necessarily so hard, it's that there's a lot of characterization shoved into a very small space. So it's it can be tough to get her to read right, as opposed to a lot of the other characters. Let's see, so a little bit of this. She's also, I would say, probably the most human-shaped of all the characters. Which, in a game filled with really wonky-looking lads, it makes her an interesting one to balance in between all of that. I feel like I've abstracted her pretty well. Like mostly rounded shapes. Okay, let's get... I'll fix the rendering on that afterwards, but... just want to see... yeah, that's how it should go. Okay. The music feels very appropriate for... the reactions that she's making currently. there, and then some feet. And then her big wooden shoes. Could be that they're a little bit too close. I'm going to pull them down a little bit. And we'll get all of the stuff resized as we go. So it'll be like her and her and... It's a pretty wide stance, but it's kind of the point. Alright, let's start with that. See where we end up. Yeah, I know, the shoes, they don't work. Gotta fix it. That's the problem with doing this in a rough state. Okay, pause. Why are you playing Mario music? What's happening? You dare defy me? Okay, chat. I'm gonna put on a random track. In the meantime, I want some suggestions, because I do not have the brain capacity to sit here and choose soundtracks while I'm trying to fix an issue. So I'm gonna put on a remix that I like, and then in the meantime, I will pick something out of the chat. Okay, that's a little better. Toby Fox music. I feel like I've overdosed a little bit on that at the moment. I very much enjoy it, but I've been playing it non-stop for a bit, so something else right now, I think. Let's see. Gotta get her big prison chain things. Might be a little bit too compressed. So let's try extending her a little bit, like that maybe. And again, all of this will be cleaned up later. Right now, I just need to get the basic idea down before it's too late. So far up there. Those are some hands. Let's see. back in time here. There we go. I think that's the one thing about drawing hands on short notice, is that it's not really something that you can just quick skip through. You kinda gotta give it the time that it deserves. So right now, I'm just trying to get these hands done real fast so I can move on to other stuff, but I don't think that's really going to happen right now, so... we just gotta do our due diligence, I guess. Okay, so we have that. We gotta get her orb. And then the second layer of her dress. Everything's pretty rough. So the question really just becomes if this is enough for me to go back to it later. Like that, maybe? I think the main difference between this one and the Otis one is just the proportions, so I'm gonna have to take a moment to think about that a little bit. That hand is also a little bit too locked into there, so we need to move it out. There, just small things that I'm noticing while I'm at it. She also has those tufts at the end of her sleeve. There. You know what? I can overlap that. Why not? It's probably more correct anyway. All right. I didn't really see any particular suggestions that seemed like they would fit the criteria. So I did have a suggestion here. What was that? Yeah, that can work. Can I just get like one big thing, maybe? No. Oh yeah, here it is. That'll do it. Okay, very quickly, I'm just going to adjust Yellow's face a little bit. I don't think you can see what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing some positioning shifts. Be done in a second. There we go. So, a little bit better. We'll know what happened without me asking for it. I mean, it's a good soundtrack. Namco made a lot of really good stuff during that period. Like I have been binging Klonoa and Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer Type 4 for the longest time now, just because it's just a very particular vibe. It's also nice because it's something that I didn't grow up with. I had a bunch of Nintendo consoles and played most of my stuff on PC. So my experience with PlayStation stuff was generally just if I visited someone's house or something. And even then it wasn't all that much. So I can't say that I found this music because I was just nostalgic for it or something. It's just good. Okay, so that doesn't quite look right. To think of how that would work. Just gotta shift around a little bit. All right. Yeah, there's something about the dress and the legs that don't seem to quite line up for me here. Maybe if I move them a bit closer together and further down? Let's see if that works. It's not far off. We're almost there. As a backup, I'm gonna try something because it might just be that I'm thinking about it wrong. Yeah, it's pretty close. When do you make an Owlboy art book? Okay, I think I can address that one, because I mentioned last anniversary stream that we had begun the process of creating an art book for Owlboy. And that is true. I have started the process. The challenge is really, for the past, what would it be, like 2 or 3 years now, we have been running after deadline after deadline. So the challenge now is less that I just sit down and make an art book, it's more so I need to have the time to, because it's a very lengthy process. What I'm thinking is that there's a very particular deadline coming up for Vikings and Trampolines that we have to hit. Now, of course, this is business stuff, so I can't really talk about it in all that much detail, but I can at the very least say that what on earth is this music? There we go. Yeah, I can't talk too much in detail about what we need to be doing, but let's just say that there's a deadline coming up that is very important for us to take care of. If we can take care of that, it should free up some room. And if I have that room available, that pretty much equates an art book. But there's a lot of things that have to line up for that. And that's why I've been a bit apprehensive about talking about it directly. It's because there's so much that needs to line up for that to work out. And frankly, I don't want to disappoint anyone. So I'm trying to sort of make things happen behind the scenes, in spite of everything. So I think for now, the most important thing is, if people actually want it, just keep telling me, so I know. Because an awful thing would be if we actually finally get to the point where we have the means to produce the art book in the way that we've been saying that we would. And all of the people that have been saying that they want the art book were just, like, lying. We need to actually know that people want this thing. If people want this thing, then we will provide it. We'll make it happen. But it is very hard to gauge what real interest is. So that's why I say every time someone asks me, like, just keep telling me. If we know this is a thing people want, then we will make it happen. It's just, like with everything else, unfortunately, these things take time. And I wish it didn't. I wish this art book had already gotten into people's hands years ago, but I can only deal with the cards that I have. So, I apologize for that, at the very least. What artist inspired your style? Oh, now you're asking the big questions. That's a tough one, because it's a sort of complicated mess of... I just mix together things that I like. And on top of that, I mean, I could mention what I was inspired by as a kid, but it doesn't necessarily translate into how I draw. For example, when I was a kid, I remember I was all about Don Rosa, who was the illustrator for the Life of Scrooge comics. I was like, holy shit, it's so cool how you can just crop every single page with all this detail. But I draw nothing like that. So it's sort of like as far as actual influence goes, it's kind of a moot point, I think. So that's an example. I think if I'm going to list someone that had a big inspiration for me in terms of how I paint, that would be Tetsuya Yoshikawa, the main art director for the Breath of Fire series and a bunch of other things. He has a very interesting way of shading. Let's see. I'm still not happy with how these legs are coming out, so I'm gonna try one more time. Bit of love for Capcom's earlier work. Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of Capcom inspiration. Granted, I didn't... a lot of the stuff that I think about these days, I didn't grow up with. It's just stuff that I've absorbed through osmosis more than anything. But I mentioned before that the reason why I draw in the first place, like completely, is Mega Man. I wanted to draw new Mega Man characters and new armors and things, and in order to do that, I had to learn how to draw. That sort of set me on the path. And this was when I was just judging what I remember of my life at that point. I must have been maybe 6 years old. So yeah, pretty early inspiration. But yeah, Capcom has been a massive influence on me, but it's also it's very specific stuff. Like I take inspiration from little bits and pieces here and there, and there's only 2 series that I would say that I've followed like pretty extensively, and it's Mega Man and Zelda. But as far as like my interest from the art that I do and the way that I draw and everything, it's like an accumulation of practically everything. And I feel like that's kind of how it has to be. If everything you do is just like derived from a single thing, that feels like a opportunity to look at new sources. Okay, so I'm just gonna try with because I mentioned that I want a little bit more of a deformed style for this, so I'm going to resize things a little bit. And then we have to move on to a new Viking, I think, because as per usual, yellow steals the show, so we need others to be able to shine as well. Are you working on a new game? Yes, I am. Well, if you're coming to the stream and you saw the tag and you're thinking we're working on a new Owlboy game, not right now, at least not that we've made official, but we are making a new game. In fact, I could show you that real quick if you want. just as Klonoa crashes. Give me 2 seconds. I feel like I already had that lined up somewhere. Did I not have... Let's see. Videos... I could swear I had that lined up here somewhere. Okay, that's odd. Let me just grab that real quick then. It should be in my handy dandy trailer folder. Ah, yes. Is it this one? Let me just check. Yep, there it is. All right. I don't know how the audio balancing is going to be on this, so hopefully good. Oh, opening that video crashed my face. That's perfect. Isn't that just the way? All right, in that case, I will disable my face for a second. Okay, so I will attempt to put this up, and then hopefully it won't blast out people's speakers. This is the new game that we're working on. So that's our new game. It's Vikings on Trampolines. It is a co-op and versus brawler. So you are Vikings, you stay on the trampolines and try to knock everyone else off of the trampolines. And that's the whole game. You can play it with virtually any age group because all you need to do is use your one hand because it only uses the directional sticks. And of course, if you don't want to fight each other, there's also an adventure mode where you and up to 4 other players can try to take out a bunch of minigames and also a bunch of bosses. So we're actually working on the very last boss right now, which is why I'm saying that it's kind of difficult to say anything about other things because I am very busy. And also... Hello again. It seems to be working. So yeah, that's the only reason why I'm doing a live stream right now is because, well, sometimes I have to take a break or I'll explode. But at the same time, it's also, this is for something D-pad related. I'm just doing it in public because, you know what? I always do things in secret, so why don't I actually do things where people can see it, you know? It's more fun that way. Alright, gonna get the music back on. There we go. You have a desire to do a non-pixel art game. I think there is the potential that I could do a non-pixel art game. I've experimented with it in the past, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not sure how much interest there would be in that. Like, yeah, I could probably do something for just for fun and all that, but I have a feeling that maybe the pixel art is what people come here for. And also, frankly, it's really nice to work with pixel art. It has some advantages that traditional art does not have. So, sticking with that is, I don't know. Pixel art has been kind to me. Let's put it that way. Okay. I'm just morphing the character a little bit again, because I need to make sure that all the positions are correct. There. There. She's a little bit closer to what I would want her to be. But I mean, if I could do any video game and make it however I wanted, I have a lot of things that could potentially be lined up for that. It's just, you kind of have to be realistic about this sort of thing. Like, I want to do a fighting game, I want to do a RPG, I want to do strategy games, I want to do all kinds of things, but that's the nature of running an indie company, where you're still trying to keep your head above water, is that you have to sort of pick and choose your battles a little bit. Owlboy 2 in the future? I mean, I would love to do an Owlboy 2 in the future. It really just comes down to what happens next. We released another game, and it was not as well received as I had hoped it would, which means we had to think about what our next priorities were going to be. And there's a lot that happens when you're in that kind of position. Do you use a sprite? No, I just use Photoshop for everything. Not knocking a sprite though. It's a good program. I just don't use it personally. I have 480 noted game ideas. That's a lot of game ideas. I have 11 prototypes that's just kind of sitting there waiting for us to put them to use. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes. It's just really what can materialize in a way that makes sense. That's really the unfortunate thing about entering into the field that you care about so much. It's sort of like the toy market. Because you get into the toy market because you think that, oh, I love toys. Toys are so fun. And then you realize what actually goes into running a business within the toy market. And then you have to start planning realistically. Alright, we are almost... I think I'm at the point where I'm feeling confident enough where I can probably step away from yellow for a second. Now there is something that I'm missing, and it is a chain links, that's it. Get those broken chains in there. Important character trait. How did you deal with the growing stages of art when you didn't have the skill set that you needed? I talked about this on the other, on my previous stream, but genuinely it's about just being able to deal with frustration and being okay with failure for a little bit. That doesn't sound like it's all that fun, but you just have to think about it in the sense that something not working out is not a big deal. Really, the most important thing is just that you keep going. It's the exact same thing as exercise. Like, the important thing isn't that you're buff immediately, it's that you just keep doing it. None of the other stuff matters. Of course, there's all these kinds of things about what you should be focusing on and how you should be focusing on it and in what way you feel like you should be improving. And those are good, but those are the luxury discussions. The main thing is just you keep trying on the thing that you want to achieve. Because after doing it for like 5 years or something like that, 6 years, 7 years, it's not going to be nothing that happens. I think that's the main thing. It helps if you're enjoying it, of course. But I find that kind of mentality is a little bit more straightforward than what a lot of people kind of dismissively say, which is just like, oh, it's just practice. And it is practice, but it's more so you just have to kind of not think too hard about not achieving something. Just doing something is usually enough. Like, being able to persist is a skill in its own. Okay, I have been messing around with yellow enough. I think it's time I wrap that one up. There. So we have yellow. She's a little bit large, but we'll just have to deal with it. I'm not quite happy with her yet, but we'll fix that another time. But before I go completely insane, I'm just going to enlarge her shoes a little bit, because that makes sense to me. There, and there. Actually, that turned out a lot better. Sometimes you have to embiggen the feet. Alright, we got a pose for yellow, and that will be available for cleanup later. Oh, I didn't move the rest of her. That's kind of important. Let's just put it all in one spot. Right about there. There. Okay. Now on to some that are, at least in theory, a little bit more straightforward. So let's hide Otis for a second. Okay, who could we do? I need an emotional response from someone. Okay, who could I do? Who could I do? I'm kind of torn between Red taking a hammer to the face, or Red maybe eating a a piece of ham. I think I'll do that one. Because I feel like it feels very within his character. But I can do more with red. Red is really straightforward. This might be a weird question, but do you notice a noticeable difference in sales of your games when you're streaming regularly or not? I don't really think these streams have enough of a reach for that. Like, in order for that to sort of manifest in anything, it needs to, you need to have a pretty big base, I think. Then again, I don't know. The information on this kind of stuff is a little dubious at times. So it's hard to know exactly what has an effect and what doesn't. Like, it used to be really easy to get information about everything that's happening on with your streaming and your online services and all of that, but frankly, it's been very difficult to keep up with these days, so if it has an effect, then I don't know about it. But hey, if someone sees this stuff and they're like, oh cool, I want to check out these video games, then perfect. I mean, it is what pays my mortgage, so... Alright, so... red... How do I get you to... get your gigantic hands around this. Probably needs to be even further out. In case I wasn't clear about that, I am making him eat a piece of meat. Because until we potentially change that, that's how you get health in Vikings and Trampolines. See, it's a lot in chat. I'll have to read through it. That was a strange question. No, not at all. It's pretty straightforward. Let's see. I really like Red as far as characters go, because he's just he started out kind of as a stand-in for the like basic, generic, boring Viking that we had before. So, for those that don't know, Vikings and Trampolines is now like almost a 20-year-old game. And it started out as a experiment by my business partner, Juremi. And when he showed it to me, we decided to turn it into more of a party game. But at that point, we put more emphasis on the Viking part, just because that was what was furthest along. It wasn't necessarily that we absolutely desired to make a game only about Vikings. But that meant that the sort of generic Viking sprite needed to be put in there, and I made like a preliminary Viking because the first one we had red hair. But then we got to the point where wouldn't it be more fun if people had more characters? So I started working on that, and red is sort of just like the more hyped up version of the same design. And it's kind of fun to sort of have Mr. Viking, because he's such a goober. In fact, can I find that one? I feel like I have it here somewhere. The Proto-Viking. Oh yeah, here. Oh god. This is the one where he explodes into blood. Let me see if I can get a capture of that. There we go. So this is what red was designed to replace. And yeah, it's practically the same guy, just a little extra insane, I guess. Where'd he go? There it is. Seems like a long journey. Oh yeah, no, it's been a very long journey. Vikings has been around longer than Owlboy has, which is a sentence that should never be uttered. It's like, it's insane to think about. Of course, part of its existence was as something completely different, so I feel like that plays into it a little bit more. Let me just make his head a little larger. There. In fact, I could probably, like, size him down a little bit because he's a little bit chunky right now. Okay, and then we get his iconic beard in there. Now, I could potentially start looking at cleaning up Otis in a little bit. But I am really enjoying getting these Vikings characters ready. Enjoying art. How about that? What a concept. Let's see. Might be too little space for these fingers. We'll see. Oh yeah, that needs to be way further down. Like here somewhere. Guy has some chonky hands. Okay, I could probably make the bracelets even bigger, actually. There we go. And the hands. And that would have to be like that. Yeah. Just adding a little heart to it because, well, it is a health pickup. There we go. Maybe put that a little further out, like that, maybe. And for brevity's sake, let's flip it. Oh yeah, that probably needs to have that out there. Honestly, probably his hands should be all the way out here for this to make sense. I'm gonna have to awkwardly rip all that apart, but it's fine. There we go. Just gonna skip this track real quick. There we go. Damn it! Screw it, we're leaning into it. If the soundtrack wants us to listen to it that bad, sure. Alright, we are getting somewhere. Just kind of gotta give it the motion and the volume that I'm looking for, and then we can move on to the next one. I should probably have at least one illustration where a Viking gets just beaten the hell out of. I feel like that's kind of important. I mean, that's what the entire game is about. Okay. Does it feel right now? Not everything is perfect, but I think it's close enough. Yeah, I think that looks okay. At least gives the impression that I... Wait a minute! Hold on, back off. What am I doing? I can't have Red without his dreadlocks. How dare. How dare I not have Red's famous, iconic, extremely important dreadlocks. This cannoli-shaped hair. It's extremely important. There we go. Okay. That'll do for now. Just so I don't go completely insane finishing this up. Okay, so we got Red done. So now you can fit along with Yellow. I can definitely tell that I'm gonna have to do like way more work on Yellow later, but for now this will have to do. Let's see. So we got Red and Yellow. What else can we do? Just want to take a little look at Otis for a second. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we got Red and Yellow. What next? What do we got? Wait, where did Red go? Oh, he's, What can we do with these people? I think probably the next thing should be Blue looking terrified. Yeah, I think we're doing that. Okay, Blue, you're up next. Let's just move these two down. And then Blue. Might be a little bit in the way. We'll see soon enough. I'm just putting these around because it sort of reminds me of what it is that I'm aiming for. If it seems kind of cluttered, it's kind of on purpose. I want everything to sort of fit into the same space. Okay, so what am I doing here? I am doing... Just get the basic shapes in there. And then trying to be fast and loose with it so that I don't lose the sense of momentum that I want. Okay. Kind of like the idea that he's stepping on top of his own skis, which kind of will probably cause a completely different problem down the line. I think will serve the portrayal well. Let's see. Maybe something like that. I think the only thing with Blue's design is there's some very minor things about how his hood works that needs to be in a very particular shape in order for it to not to lose its readability. His leg here, and then his other leg here. Oh wait, that won't work because then the ski will be in the way. Yeah. So like that maybe, and then... I might have been a little bit too loose with it. We'll see. There. And then we cover him up with a little bit of extra stuff. The great thing about Blue is that he has so much padding that it's pretty easy to sort of fill in the blanks with him. This is my phone ringtone. That sounds dangerous. Like, very early on, I decided to put songs that I liked as my ringtone, and now I just do the default because it made me not like those songs anymore. Something about not making something overstay its welcome. My text message and my ringtone used to be for Metal Gear Solid. Because I thought I was being clever. But now I just associate anything from Metal Gear Solid with people calling me for work. Which was not exactly the intended effect I wanted. Let's see. Hell yeah, clown music. Yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a difficult pose with this particular character, just because I haven't really designed him to be able to put his arms over his head. At least not like this. We'll see. I'll give it a little bit more time, and then if it doesn't work out, then hey, that's fine as well. Let's at least attempt to get the eye patch in there. Let's duplicate that. I want to try something. So I feel like I might be overthinking this a little bit. Because what if... What if instead... it's mainly the shield? Because he's supposed to be showing his back, right? That could work. And then in doing so, it frees up a little bit more of the suit, I think. Yeah, let's give that another try. Might as well commit, right? I do think his beard is going to probably cause some issues. Let's see. So this goes there, this goes there, this goes there, and I do need to have his one horn. Gonna try and deform a little bit just to see if something will loosen up. Don't worry, you can't see this right now, but I promise there's magic happening. That maybe. Yeah, I think we're onto something here. Again, it looks rough right now, but kind of the idea is if I can see the vision for what needs to be done, then we're good. Because there's a lot of this that can be salvaged in a cleanup. Like, it doesn't have to look perfect right now. It just needs to be good for what it is right now, and then all of this can be improved. It's that you have to trust in the process kind of a thing. And sometimes it just doesn't work, and it's fine. But right now, I'm right in a comfortable in-between where I'm at least relatively convinced that this will work out. Oh, that's right, that's right. I didn't see that right. His elbows come out through here, and then there's like a second patch of green that comes out around the arms. It's the other way around. Let me see. There's that. Can I get a little bit of his cheek in there? Yeah, there we go. So, I'm on a pretty good roll here. Though I said that I would stop after about 3 hours. Now that is still true. I still think I could keep going for another half hour or so. The thing is, I probably need to eat before then. So it might be that I have to wrap up in not too long, just so it doesn't go too far overboard. Also gives me a chance to kind of look over what we've done and maybe think about where my next step is going to be here. Because while I feel like blue is on the right track, there is something that doesn't quite sit right. And I gotta think about how I want that portrayed before I potentially continue. How does that look if I swap it around? Almost feels like showing his legs is the problem. Could I just kind of like have him sit and like have the... Nah, that doesn't work because you can't see them. You could see both skis, that could work. Nah. You kind of have to have him standing. But I did like the crease though, that helps. Hello, I love your art. Thank you, that's very kind of you. I want to start drawing since I was a kid, but what I drew could never live up to what was in my head. What should I do to learn? Well, it's a little bit of what we talked about earlier in the stream, but mainly it's, of course, you got to keep trying. Just pick what it is that you want your target to be and start learning that. My advice is always that you try to pick something that you actually want to make. Like, what is a goal, an achievable goal that you want to do? And then you study for that particular thing, both in terms of teaching yourself the fundamentals of that, but on top of it, trying specifically to use the skills that you're developing for it for something that will be enjoyable. So, just as an example, it's probably not what you're intending to do, but just as an example, if you want to, let's say, draw cars, trying to learn the fundamentals of how cars look is, of course, the obvious step, but then also try to make something just for fun that is car related. That kind of thing. Because you can't just study, because then, frankly, I think your brain will just get bored. But at the same time, you also can't just draw for fun, you also have to figure out at least some of the fundamentals. Of course, the most important thing is just to draw in general. If you can overcome just the frustration of not everything working out right away and just keep drawing anyway, because you think it's enjoyable, then I think you will reach a lot further. There's a lot of people that just stop drawing because they think that it's always supposed to be fun. But if you're able to have fun with it, even though you're not necessarily getting the results that you want, then I think that helps a lot. And besides, what's the worst thing that can happen? You drew something and didn't like it? Okay. So what? Draw something else. Maybe you'll like that one. Like right now, I am not particularly pleased with this drawing of yellow here, but it's fine. I can come back and I can fix it, and I can make it better. Or I can just draw it from scratch. The important thing is that I enjoyed making it. Okay, so I think we're getting closer here. I think blue will need some work in order to get to the point where it feels like it reads right. There's a lot of like small details here that need to line up for this to work the way I want it. But I think I kind of have what I've been intending to here, so I think probably I'll pause there. The most important part here was just I got some of this sketched out. So at least as a start, we now have red, blue, and yellow as a preliminary sketch. And then I can use more time to fix it later. Let's pause the music for a second. So, just to go through what it is that we've actually done today. So, what I started out with was this. It was Otis from Owlboy, because I wanted to give some more expressions that we're going to be using a little bit later. And all of this is, of course, very rough. There's some mistakes here and there, but the point is, if I have it down, then I can come down and fix it later. Then, while I was streaming, we also fixed up a bunch of the stuff for Buccanary, which will also be used in its own section. And we got the Bogwins cleaned up a little bit, and then I'll do the final cleanup a little later. And then, finally, we started looking at the Vikings from Vikings on Trampolines. There's still a good bit that I feel like I could do here, but I think it's a good start, and it gives me the option to sort of come in and tweak everything a little bit. I think out of all of them, red is pretty close to being ready to go here. Just needs a little bit more rendering and some outline work. And the two other ones here, I think it's not going to be too much. I need to fix yellow's head a little bit, and blue, I think, needs a little bit of fix up in the face department. And other than that, I think they're mostly ready. So that, I think, will be it for today. All right. It has been, what is it? 2 hours and 30 minutes? Not too bad. So, the thing is, what I've been doing tonight is technically work. It's something that I'll be adding to something that's coming up a little later. So, I wanted to see if I could get some of that out of the way. And for that matter, it was fun to draw it in public for once. So, but having said that, it does mean that I have technically been working on my weekend. So, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow. I have Mondays off now, but it does mean it might be a little bit much if I do this again tomorrow, so we'll see. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then I'll take that moment to chill. So, either way, it was nice for everyone to stop by. If I do another stream, I hope to see you there. If I don't, well, thank you for stopping by anyway. Appreciate you all for being here, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bring hard.